What's up, everyone? Welcome to the First Ones to Die. My name is Jonathan. I'm here with Alex and Jerome. I feel like I always say Alex and Jerome. Maybe let's say Jerome
Alphabetical
and
order.
Alex this time. Okay, yeah, I guess. But then shouldn't you be introducing the show then if it's in alphabetical order and then say Jerome and Jonathan?
I think you're thinking too much of this.
Anyway, let's talk about Serial Mom, okay? That is the thing that we are talking about today. We're doing a retro review because your boy won trivia a couple weeks ago. It feels like it was many moons ago, but I won trivia. So my movie choice was
I'm coming for
Serial
the belt
Mom.
in round 3. I'm gonna get it back.
I'm still kind of involved.
Yeah, you need to let Alex win one of these times.
No, you don't need
Don't
to
let me
her
win. You don't
She
let
can
me win.
win
I will
fair and
win.
square.
Anyway, continue with the introduction.
That was pretty much it. But Serial Mom, basically the reason why I chose this movie is because the last time I had watched it was maybe 10 years ago on TV. Little did I know that the TV version that I watched 10 years ago was going to be way different than the version I watched now, today. But it's from 1994. The genre is comedy, crime, dark comedy, thriller. And it's directed by John Waters, starring Kathleen Turner, Sam Waterston, Ricky Lake, Matthew Lillard. And IMDb describes it as she's the perfect all-American parent, a great cook and homemaker, a devoted recycler, and a woman who will literally kill to keep her children happy. So that sounds like a perfect plot to a movie that we'd love to discuss. I'm dying literally to hear your guys' thoughts on it. So, Alex.
You're dying?
Wait, I just want to know real quick, what was the difference in the films from the
Well,
TV?
this version is if you watch the version
I didn't know
on
there was a one
TV,
set on the
it's
TV.
rated R. So I'm sure they took some things out. Well, first of all the nudity is probably cut out on TV.
That's fair. But it was like the 90s. I mean, that's when they let everything slide.
The 90s.
I feel like in the 90s.
The version that I saw on TV was like a syndicated version on a random channel, and they would cut out like the cuss words. I didn't know there was this much swearing in the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of F-bombs in
there
this.
was a lot of swearing. I was actually surprised by that. That shocked me more than anything.
A lot of swearing, some nudity. So I did not know that all of that was present in the movie.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
It was.
This is the non-spoiler part. Anyway.
Oh, non-spoiler part, right?
Yeah, this is the non-spoiler part. We're not for anyone who's new.
To spoil a movie from like 1994.
Yes.
That's 3 years old. Look, cutie.
This movie came out like the month before my birthday. Anyways.
It was a few days after my birthday. It was an interesting film. Don't think I was expecting it to be the way it was, as we just talked about with all the nudity and stuff. Because I thought they were trying to like to establish the whole like middle class suburban family type deal. But it was actually pretty good too, because I like the way, I'm trying to think of how not to spoil things. Beverly, the main character, her name, how she can suddenly flip a switch, but still she's kind of weirdly the same person when she murders people. Like she still has the presence of who she is, and I think they did that really well with her, and I like that a lot. So it was a pretty good movie, I think, for the era it was created in. I will say that much. So. But
Jerome, how about you?
I like it. I don't love this movie only because I think this for me feels like a not as fun, not as detailed version of the Cable Guy. In fact, I watched this on YouTube, and YouTube, the next movie under the recommended tab after watching this was The Cable Guy, starring Jim Carrey, which is also a dark comedy. not know so much about a killer, but definitely like a stalker. Um, but I at the cable guy, you still kind of, it hits a point near the end where you kind of feel for the cable guy. So I was like, oh man, this is like hit me a little bit in the feels, but also it's very funny. This movie, I didn't feel for pretty much anybody. But that being said, though, it is super fun. This is a fun movie, and I really enjoyed it on that level. Um, I was shocked at the rated R rating. I didn't expect it to be this rated R. Like they say some very like rude words and then like on top of that, like some of the kills are jacked up. Like there's a lot of nudity in this, like a lot of nudity. Um it's just, this movie is crazy. It's the first movie where I honestly did not know what was going to happen next. And there's multiple times I was checking the time code to be like, how much more movie you got left? There's an hour left. I feel like this is the end of the movie. So it's just it kept surprising me in such fantastic ways. It's been a minute since I watched like a straight dark comedy that really understands that the key word is dark in there. Um, so and acting wise, I think everyone does a great job here in the comedy department. They're all very funny. They do their roles very well. Um, Fun fact: this is Matthew Lillard's first movie. It was the first film he ever did. Uh, and I also love, there's a reference in here to a short story that I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's really funny. Um, that they threw that in there. That feels like a nice like nod, like a tip of the hat to people who know what it is. So we'll talk about it in the spoiler section. But overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself. I had a fun time.
Yeah. For me, so like I said, this was probably I think my third time watching the movie, but first time watching the rated R version as is rather than the version on TV. And also my first time again in about 10 years watching it. So I'm watching it as an adult versus as a teenager. And I fully enjoyed it, and I had a great time watching it. I laughed at multiple points. Also, Kathleen Turner killed it, literally and figuratively. I thought the way that she was able to embody that type of character, the way that she was able to, you know, make her face convey, you were really able to know what she was thinking in every single moment because of her facial expressions. And you could just see when she was about to kill somebody. It was pretty obvious when she was about to kill somebody, but her facial expressions just further enhanced that. And I really appreciated that. And I'm glad I picked the movie because it was just, I thought it was fun. So now let's get into spoilers. If you have not watched this movie in the past 27 years, then you might want to click off. I don't know, but if you want to stick with us, we're going to discuss spoilers. Why am I even saying this? Let's just get into it. Okay.
They've been warned. You've been warned. The visual people, I disappeared for a second because speaking of blood, I kind of hurt myself a little bit.
Oh, are you okay now?
Yeah, this I was scratching, picking at like my cuticles, and then suddenly there was blood, and I'm like, oh crap.
We're all good now. Okay.
We're good. Sorry, I didn't get to hear any of Jonathan's his movie, and I didn't get to hear any of his thoughts on it.
That's all right.
Let's hear your thoughts in the spoiler department.
Yeah, so where do we want to start? First of all, the first thing I wanted to mention, the big thing that stuck out in my notes, this is completely random, but during the church scene, did you notice that when all the white people were saying the prayer, there was the black dude, he was the garbage man, he was looking around.
He was looking around like he said nothing. I was like, is he? I mean, he's got the
Was
thing on his head. So is he like Jewish? And he's like, oh dang, I'm in
oh
the wrong church.
I didn't
I-
catch the
I thought it was a
yarmulke.
yarmulke because I was just like, it doesn't look large enough to be a beanie or anything.
I thought he was like thinking in the way of like, the movie Get Out. Like,
I mean,
maybe.
it's just like I just love that scene makes me laugh because I'm just like that's a very funny joke of like he's just like I mean if Jesus the Bible never outright denounces capital punishment. I mean even Jesus when he was on the cross, wouldn't you think that would be the time to say I'm just like no because he was suffering at the hands of capital punishment at the time.
He was a
I don't
little
think that was
preoccupied at
of
the
his
time.
list of thoughts to think to himself to be like, please, Lord, forgive them for what they know not what they do. Also, y'all messed up for putting people on crosses. I just want y'all to know that real quick while I'm just up here. I'll be here all week.
Of it not being a formative way to kill people. I mean, neither was like a lot of the methods people used up until like lethal injection. Electric chair. They had to like be the spun had to be anyway. No, not going to that topic.
Anyway,
I didn't know until like I was kind of like halfway through the movie that I realized it was in Baltimore. I don't know why it never clicked in my head because I tried not to read the description or anything, and I was like, oh, where are they? Like it just looks like every like suburban style town. And then I don't know, I forget what it was, and they mentioned about being in Baltimore, and I was like, Baltimore? That's such a weird setting, I feel like.
well, first of all, I feel like if it was actually Baltimore, I feel like it would be a little tad bit more diverse.
You mean,
Secondly,
other than the black Jewish guy in the church?
Secondly, fun facts, all of John Waters' movies take place in and around Baltimore. So like Baltimore, Maryland area. Yeah, he's from there. Which is interesting. Like Hairspray, that takes place in Baltimore. And I just like looked up quickly some of his other movies and they all take place in Baltimore.
I like this movie's like it threw me for a loop at first when it was like all of these events are real and we've changed the names to protect the victims. And it made me laugh because at first I was like, and then the movie starts and all this stuff happens. And I was like, this really happened? Let me look this up. Click. It's a joke because, and it made me, it reminded me of Fargo, which is also a dark comedy because they did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Fargo says based on a true story. It's not, but that's kind of the joke. It's supposed to be a play on the true crime genre like this movie. And so I was like, that's kind of cool. I wonder if this came out first and then Fargo saw it, or if Fargo came out first and then this movie did it. I guess I'll look that up now.
Really good. John Waters, apparently all of his films are set in Baltimore. Often in working class neighborhoods of Hampton. Weird.
Yeah, I mean, right what you know.
Yeah, well, that's where he apparently grew up.
So this movie came out first, and then Fargo came out in '96.
Okay.
So yeah.
5 years old. God, this made me feel old, by the way, too, because they like reference like a Blockbuster in there and like stuff like that. Just a lot of things. Like, oh, do you know her phone number? And I'm like, I haven't thought of like memorizing somebody's phone number or anything.
I know
everything's on my phone. You know phone numbers? Why do you know phone numbers?
Of the most important people. I know my best
Literally
phone number, my mom's
everything
phone number,
is on this device.
My dad's phone number and my sister's phone number. Those are like the numbers I know. Those are the important ones.
I don't know anybody's phone number. I don't know anybody's address. I know nothing without the phone. There's like
I was gonna say
no, go ahead. No, you're good. You're good.
I was gonna say, Jerome, one thing you said was in the middle of the movie you looked to see how much time there was left because you thought it was over. I did the exact same thing.
Yeah, there were a couple times I thought it was over.
when they were breaking into when they were breaking into the house and they murdered the parents of the kid. Yeah. I was like, oh, this seems like it's the climax of the movie. I thought they were gonna get
caught at that point.
Right.
I thought and then I'm like, over.
Right. And then I'm like, wait, I remember this movie had a church scene. I remember that church scene. So I'm like, did I just imagine that? And then it was the next scene after that.
Oh, also, I was gonna mention spoiler, and I looked it up, and I want to make sure I get it right. Um, Hold on, because that reference to that short story, there it is. So it's so in the middle in the movie, remember when there's that lady that she kills with
the meat.
the lamb?
Yep.
That is a reference to Lamb to the Slaughter, a short story by Roald Dahl. I read it when I was in English class, in which a woman murders her husband with a frozen rack of lamb. And then when the cops come to investigate, she cooks it up. She cooks it. And then she's just like, oh no, what happened to my husband? That's crazy. Hey, but y'all been working real hard. Like y'all want some of this lamb? It was already cooked before he died. And they're like, oh, thanks, Mrs. So and so. We sure are, We're glad to have a woman like you around.
Wait, so Roald Dahl made a story about a person getting killed by a lamp? I thought he only made Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and the BFG and
he made
all those other kid friendly.
He makes dark books. If you read the real versions of those books,
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is actually messed up with or without the book.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but it's meant for kids.
Yeah, a lot of things are meant for kids. They're not.
I mean, Lamb to the Slaughter is not too adult. And the most adult thing that happens is as a person gets murdered. Past
Frozen.
That, it's kind of a comedy because then the cops eat the lamb, which is the murder weapon, and then they're just like, "All right, we'll see you later." So I like that they reference that in this.
I would
movie.
kill somebody with like a frozen
cool
egg or something.
I feel like you shouldn't say that on a recorded podcast.
Look, I'm not gonna murder anybody.
Or feeds it to the dog. That feeds the lamb to the dog.
As far as I know, nobody pisses me off enough. I get angry a lot, but nobody has pissed me off enough
to kill somebody.
To want me to freeze an egg and then murder them with it.
I feel bad for the husband because
he went through it.
Like when he pulls out all that serial killer stuff and finds the tape, and he's just like, My wife's a serial killer. I'm just going
that's this is a good example for men to help women clean the house. Because if he had ever made just a freaking bed once in a while, she wouldn't have had it under there, now would she?
But can we also
talk
about
made an effort to change the sheets? That's all I'm saying.
Can we also talk about how dumb this family was, specifically the kids? Because
the daughter, especially, she is the most vapid person I've ever seen in my life.
Well, that was
the camera taking pictures of her. She has lost all focus.
Well, that's how the normal family was portrayed. Like everything was put on the mom. Husband was always working, and the kids were always just supposed to be like stupid teenagers that were like self-involved. I will say I did like Matthew Lillard's character a lot more than I thought I was, because I just think he's a very good actor.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's done well in what he's been in that I've seen, at least. Where he's like, and he wasn't Scooby-Doo, he was in Shaggy, so clearly
he'll always be Shaggy to me.
Long history of like trying to be a detective, trying to figure out who murdered who.
Scooby-Doo and Scream, they're like my favorite roles from him.
I forgot he was in Scream. That's right.
He's really good. I love the scene when that dude punches him in the face, like, your mom killed my brother. Whap. Anyway, they're making a movie about my mom though. For real? Yo, who's gonna play my brother though? I don't know. You probably could get your fit in. Cool. That's what's up. I'm just like, y'all gonna have this conversation?
I mean,
2 seconds ago.
That's what I feel like wasps families are like. Those people who don't like talk about like anything, that are just like, oh, we'll continue on with the conversation. It's like, I feel like this is actually probably a good portrayal where they're just like sitting all well dressed up in court, no emotion, being like, do you think she murdered anybody with the hamburger meat in the fridge? Because I would like that for dinner tonight. Do you think that's evidence? What about like the ribs in the freezer? Is that evidence? Can we eat that? I don't know. She may have contaminated all our food as evidence, but I just want the ribs.
Ooh, easily one of my favorite characters in this movie is also Mrs. Puff.
I was about to say,
Rosemary, who is also Mrs. Puff in SpongeBob. She's great in this film. She's so.
I was.
And if you didn't know,
you by like Mrs. Puff, no, I didn't know that.
And you didn't know that was Mrs. Puff?
I didn't know that.
I was about to say, if you didn't know that was Mrs. Puff from just looking at her, you would know by the voice. I'm surprised you didn't know by the voice. because it's iconic. And
Oh my
I
God, you're
thought
right.
from when I first saw her in the movie, I initially thought she had died in the movie.
I did too. I
I thought you meant
thought
real
she had
life.
died in real
Oh
life.
no. Oh
And then I had to
no.
look it
She's
up.
I was
still
prepared
alive.
for that. I was like, oh God.
She's still
Like
alive.
doing
But
SpongeBob.
No, she's still
no,
alive. She's still kicking.
I thought her character had died in the movie, but her character lived in the movie. Didn't she?
Has her yes, she did. Her eyes are like David Bowie's eyes too, where she has like one forever dilated pupil. It was really it was throwing me off at first. I was like, that's so crazy. But I was like, but because I know David Bowie's eyes are like that I'm just like,
Oh, she does.
that's cool.
That's freaky.
That's cool that she has like it makes her look more unique. Maybe that's why she hasn't had like a, because I was looking up her filmography. She does a lot of voice work, not a lot of live action filmography.
Well, no, she was in Different Strokes for a long time.
That's true.
Really?
That was also a big show she was in. Yeah, it was Different
I
Strokes.
think once you get noticed for your voice as a character, you just you're that character, and there's a lot of like you
it's
have
easier, probably easier on the bones too. You don't have to do
well,
a
think
lot. Like
think
she's
about
an
like
older
every
woman.
Simpsons character. They're no longer like a lot of them don't do acting; they do voiceover work now.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get in there, you get in there. I like how they like portrayed like the cops at the beginning where they're all kind of like just bumbling fools. Hey, we're here to ask you just a few questions while we eat the lamb. And kind of like they take nothing seriously because it's how the mom is presenting herself. And I like that
the
like
bird thing though. I was at first I thought they were like crazy too, where they're just like ha ha ha, Mrs. Beverly. But I love that when they get as soon as they get in the car, they're like, all right, for real though, did you hear her cooing at the birds? Like that was weird, right? He was like, nah, that was weird, but it's whatever. I'm like, okay,
there's
good.
that moment where you walk
glad.
away and you're just weirded out by everything. Like,
yeah,
why is she cooing at birds?
I thought it was funny too that her reasonings for killing people in this movie.
I was just about to say
justified, but most of them are super funny. Like when they're eating chicken and she's like, "Those are birds." I'm like, no. You ain't cooked chicken or pheasant for your family ever.
What was the most nonsensical kill that she had? Probably the chicken, right?
The chicken. Oh, I don't know. I don't know actually.
Or
because like the fact that she never fed her family chicken bothers me more so. Like, what do you serve on like Thanksgiving then for that atypical family? She would have to have done the giant bird, no? Like the turkey. So like,
well, vegan. I don't know. She could go vegan.
She murdered somebody and then ate a lamb. That's like the least vegan thing.
No, she fed it to the dog.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, she fed a piece of it to the dog.
And then she I think she just dropped it and he probably ate the rest.
I don't like lamb. It's too fatty.
The most nonsensical one was Scotty though. Now that I think about it, only because it'd be one like at least the chicken stuff, they got murdered by themselves. So there's nobody around. So it makes sense that she got away with it. This one, literally, the lights come down on him, and then he's on fire, and nobody stops this. Nobody helps him at all.
They think it's a part of the show.
Accessory to murder.
They think it's a part of the show.
Okay, no, the audience thinks it's part of the show, but the band knows that this isn't part of the show because they are the show.
But like, create the theater. No offense, Jonathan. I love you and I respect your craft. But theater people are freaking weird, man. They'll go on like
these aren't theater
sometimes.
people. These are concert people.
These are
two
band.
different.
Yeah, this is two different things.
Concert and band people are even worse. These people like see their like crew falling down in the middle from heat stroke.
I consider myself a concert person and a theater person.
Well, your groups are weird, okay?
Also,
like I respect I respect your craft, but like one of your kind just falls down, you'll just drag them off stage and keep going on with the play.
I have Metallica has stopped many death metal jam.
And we have talked about in other episode before about death and heavy metal people actually being very sweet people. Very different. That's very different. And that's
Travis Scott has stopped concerts to like stop people from getting kicked out of his concert.
Right. So again,
And he's a
different
rapper.
type. I'm talking about like bands, like with the tubas and stuff, and then like theater people and plays.
That's a
Again, with all
concert
due
band. That's
respect,
different.
all due respect.
What do any of those anyway?
The point is that
creative
camel
people are
lips,
weird.
which is literally what the band is called. And at first I was like, why are they called camel lips? And then there's a close up on her crotch. At first I didn't catch the joke, and I was just like, all right, that's a really egregious shot, cameraman. But then like I caught a glimpse of it just before they cut. I was like, wait a minute, rewind that back, and then you just see the clear camel toe. I was just like, oh my god.
That was like
Never
the most
mind.
8th grade joke ever. Yeah.
It is a very like lowbrow joke. But I mean, to be fair, this is
It's something you don't really expect from a movie made in 1994. Even though I know they did make these types of movies in 1994, it's just that I feel like
it's very like off-putting. Like, oh my god, why though?
I think I mean it's the point of like I expected it because it's a movie where literally Scotty's whole character is that he likes porn. That's it.
Yeah, that was really gross.
Anything about this kid past the fact that he likes porn. That's it. And then there's a scene where he's jerking it and the whole bed is moving. I mean, he's shifting walls. And you're just like, and it's just like at that point, the camel lips joke is like the bottom of the barrel compared to the other ridiculous things in this movie.
Also,
not even at the top of the list.
I don't like the children's names, Misty and Chip.
I like them because
I feel like those are the typical all-American names that they wanted to go with.
They just
Misty makes Misty's whole thing names. About being like what she's like, he just said if I lose a few pounds, I'll like he'll take me to like on a date or whatever. And all her family is really supportive, and they're just like, honey, that's just mean. Like if he's telling he should love you for who you are, she's just like, you guys just don't understand. I'm like, don't understand. They are literally being the most supportive family they could be right now. All right. You don't need to lose your way for nobody. You better love all of you, girl.
Better love
girl. Most of the jokes in this I thought, held up fairly well. There was one joke though where she was the woman was checking out Annie at Blockbuster, and she returned Ghost Dad, and she was like, I love Bill Cosby pictures. I'm like, that didn't age quite well. But that was it almost seemed in the moment, it almost seemed like it was like somehow like foreshadowing.
Well, a psychopath loves Bill Cosby, so yeah, I can see where
this is one of the victims. She's not.
One of the victims.
Yeah.
Right. It was the woman that was singing on her couch with her dog licking her feet.
Yeah, that was gross. Just like get them all wet. I was like, what the fuck? What is going on?
Like my sister lets her dogs lick her face, and I'm always so disgusted by it. She's like, "Oh, give me a kiss." I'm like, "No, the dogs. I have seen them actually eat poop. Do not let these dogs lick your face. Like that's why you have acne." She's like, "Oh, they love me and I love them," and I'm like, "God, no."
If someone listens to this episode and just hears piece by piece each part of the movie, I can't imagine what they're thinking.
But the movie's kind of like the podcast right now. It was like all over the place.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that like stayed steady was how her level of crazier got. She went from like, oh, psycho mom that maybe has a little killing thing going on the side, just straight out, I'm gonna just murder everybody who comes near me.
Like I love though that she's not. I thought it was gonna be a thing where the twist was she was gonna kill her family or something. But I love that she's like, no, I'm a good mom. I take care of the kids or whatever. Just don't litter, and I won't have to cut you. But when it comes dinner time, I'll be there and I'll cook a nice meal and it's okay. And I'm just like, no, it's not okay, Beverly. You're murdering people. Please stop.
I mean, can't be wrong. She's a good mom. She make sure her kids, are happy and fed.
She makes sure
little ingrates.
And she does support them. Misty, when what's his name, Dave or whatever, was with another woman, Carl. when Carl was with another woman, her mom went the extra mile. She didn't just tell her daughter, "No, honey, you're beautiful the way you are." She did that and killed her and killed her.
Well, I won't lie, that was probably a good part of her doing that, because if he was making her so insecure, think about if he actually did start dating her or like manipulated her into other stuff. She was kind of saving her daughter from a very toxic relationship in the future. You know, maybe murder wasn't necessary, but it was her only reasonable actions in her mind. So, like, she kind of was protecting her daughter from having a really bad relationship,
To be
which at
fair,
a very young age.
he wasn't trying to come on to her at all. Like he was, I feel like as soon as he pulled up, he was very clear with her. They were like, "No, we're just friends. You help me study."
Yeah, but you didn't need to make those snarky comments. She would just been like, "Get the hell away from me." That would have probably got him murdered, but that would have made it more like, oh, he didn't need to be murdered.
Also, I Matthew Lillard's character confused me for a while because at first I thought it was like, okay, you know your mom's like an actual killer, right? And not just people are just saying that, like she actually kills people. And then for a while I thought he did know that. And then later it's almost like he doesn't, because as soon as she like tries to kill the lady from the video store, he's like, "Oh no, my mom's gonna kill her." I'm just like, that's what everyone's been saying for the whole movie. Did you just get the memo or something?
It's like, are you trying to protect your mom or are you trying to frame her? Or not frame her,
Well,
but
it's
like get her. Not get her, but like
monetize off of her.
yeah.
Right.
Well, maybe he didn't believe it. Maybe he was just like, she can't do it. It's like you think of like a mom being like, no, I can't do that type of thing. And then you kind of come to realize you're like, oh, she could probably kill somebody. To oh crap, she is gonna kill somebody. Oh, I should probably do something.
And I also thought she was going to kill the woman with the curly short hair, who she
Dottie?
kept pranking. That woman who she kept pranking over the phone, and she had ample opportunity
She
to.
wasn't pranking her. She was harassing that woman.
Yeah,
that's at that point you're just
stalking
her.
She was stalking, harassing, and like causing mental damage. And I believe it was all over a parking spot too.
Yep, because she took
that
her
was
parking
like the
spot.
original.
That made me laugh too, because I was like, you get the flashback. I was like, I mean, what did she do to you? Why are you so mean? And then it's just like, I was like, did she take her park? Are you serious? And then she took her parking space. I was like, are you serious? This is that's it. I mean, I get it. I would be annoyed, but I'm not gonna kill nobody, or at least harass. She didn't kill her, but I wouldn't harass her to this level. You keep calling her. You're sending her death threats. You know? Granted, though, it did make me laugh where she couldn't curse or anything in front of a man. But he's like, "Do you feel comfortable saying it in front of a woman, cop?" Yes. All right, cool. And it's like she was just there. I'm just like, all right, was she already prepared for this to happen? And then she's like, "Go ahead." And I love the woman they picked, because it's an inherent joke in and of itself that it's like this soup. It's not just this dainty lady. It's like this burly big woman who's just as big as he is. And she's just like, okay. And then she just says it. And he's right there. I'm like, he's still in the room. So technically, you still said it in front of a dude. So what was your
but she was like focusing on the woman instead. I don't know. And like this movie it was just kind of weird. It felt definitely like a movie you would watch in the 80s or the 90s. Mostly because it was like on late night TV, and after you watch it, you're like, I'm not sure what I watched, but I think I'd watch it again for some reason. You know what I mean? Like there's those movies that don't entirely make sense to you, but you do enjoy them, and you would probably watch it again. But you probably won't talk about it later for sure, because you can't really explain. How do you explain a movie? Oh yeah, so this like mom that nobody thinks about is kind of weird, but like not like crazy, but then you find out she's starting to murder everybody. But they don't really show like too gruesome a murder. She's not kidnapping and hiding people in her basement, type of Ted Bundy style. She kind of just kills people with whatever's around, like a leg of lamb or like fire, whatever. And then all of a sudden she really presents herself well when she's taken to court. By the way, that whole court scene was actually pretty good.
That's what I was gonna
Yes,
say too.
but
Yeah, I
however,
was like,
she did a terrible job representing herself, at least in front of the jury, because I'm just like, you're doing the O.J. Simpson thing, where you're just making it like seem like everybody else is like you're just riling up people to the point where they get crazy, and then and then
well, that was the whole
and it
thing. She
discredits
couldn't
the.
the witness. Well, she couldn't discredit her murders. Everybody kind of knew she did it. So
I
she's
know,
like,
but that's like at that point, if I was in that jury, I'd be like, nobody's leaving until we say guilty because she hasn't proved at all that she did not kill any of these people.
well, kind of, because it's like you can clearly see from this town they could turn on one of each other. So maybe they all just decided in this weird little suburban town, they all decided, we want to get her out of the way.
And
She's
if it
kind of
wasn't
been
for double
taking our parking
jeopardy,
spot and stuff.
she would definitely be tried again after killing a juror after you just won the court
Actually,
case.
I mean, she could be tried for the juror's death. That's
For
not double
wearing
jeopardy.
white after Labor Day.
I love it. She's just like, no, you don't understand. Fashion's changed. No, it hasn't.
I mean, honestly, nobody should really wear white. I don't think it's a very flattering color on anybody.
Here's the thing too, though. Despite how much fun I had watching this movie and all the great scenes in it, the reason I say it's not as I wouldn't say it's as good as anything like Cable Guy or even Fargo is because this movie feels like it doesn't really have a plot as much as just a collection of scenes that somebody wrote that would be fun to do, and they're just all cobbled together because it's like because like you said, Jonathan, it had a pretty solid plot when it eventually when it ramps up to them her murdering those two patients of her husband's. But then after that, then it's like then the movie is like, all right, now I'm going to church. Church? When did you imply that you guys go to church? Or even like you're just and it's just a scene, it's just to have this fun joke with the pastor and all this fun stuff. Then you have the lamb scene where it just feels again kind of like random that we're here, but it's funny and we're having a good time. And from that point on, it just seems like it's just a collection of scenes upon scenes upon scenes that don't really feel like they tie together as well as they could.
I agree with you in that sense, but I think it does have a plot because it stems from the whole. If you had to think about it, what would a suburban mom kill for? If she was able to be a serial killer on her own, she would go just, go kill, but she has to be there for her family. She cares about her children, so she can only really get out these murderous like feelings towards anybody. Either they upset her about her child or little things that don't bother us because there are bigger issues we face. She doesn't have money issues. She doesn't have housing issues. Her kids are kind of crappy, but like they're not on drugs or pregnant at 14 or like some crap like that. So like what does she have to kill for? So she just finds little things like, well, I want to be a murderer. I want to kill people. So I need to find something like that I can justify in my own mind, which hence the whole little weird, like, well, he upset my daughter. Well, she's wearing white after Labor Day type of deal. I think it has a plot in the sense that we don't understand it because we can't understand it because we wouldn't kill for the tiny little things like that.
It was giving me very much Norma Bates. Like
Yeah.
I would do anything for my son.
I was gonna say
that type of relationship or anything for my family, that type of deal.
Misty was a little shit, but like Chip did love his mom. He was like behind her, like, you didn't do it. But even when they kind of figured out she did do
killed Scotty.
Yeah, but even then he was still at her trial to the end and was like still supportive and like wasn't like, I can't believe you murdered Scotty, blah blah blah. He was like, it'll be okay, mom.
I think I rather retract. It's not so much that the movie, because yeah, you're right, Alex. It's like it's not that the movie doesn't have a plot. It's that it doesn't weave together, I think, as tight as it could. It feels like it gets away from itself a little bit and kind of gets sucked into the premise of just like, let's have fun with this like serial killer mom killing people for like dumb reasons, like putting your seatbelt on, which is fun and great, but it doesn't feel like it kind of weaves
Yeah,
as tightly as it could, at least in the end. In the beginning, it's very tight. Like it's very clear what's going on. And they get into the kills a lot earlier than I thought they would, like with the teacher.
Well, starting off from the
Yeah.
fly, she murdered that fly very
Yeah, but
viciously.
everybody kills flies. People don't just kill high school teachers on a daily basis.
And run over them repeatedly.
I
What
love
was
That
the
is a little intense. I do agree.
what was the deal with the motif of the gum? Because it's at the beginning, it's particularly present at the beginning of the movie when she keeps saying, she like says to her son or daughter, I can't remember which one, she's like, no gum
her
in the
daughter.
house. Okay, yeah, the daughter, she says no gum in the house. And then the police officer, she's like, excuse me, we do not have gum in this household. She makes him spit out the gum. And then the teacher is chewing gum when he's murdered.
Maybe it's just like a thing with her. I don't know.
It's a reference to the idea behind like not chewing gum, especially in like a proper setting, like when I was in church or whatever. Yes, people pass gum, but you're not supposed to have gum because it shows a lack of class, because the whole time you're just like the whole time. So it's like it's kind of a class thing of just like having not being like, you know, constantly chewing on something or eating on something or even smacking your lips if like you chew with your mouth open. So I think that's what they're getting at, like from a suburban mom standpoint of like, my children are very proper and don't do things like that.
Chew gum.
But you know.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, they used to. That was like a big deal when I went to like the private school I went to when I was younger. They made a big deal about not chewing or having anything in your mouth during class, which of course I never listened to. I had chipmunk cheeks, so I could just hide things in my cheeks real easily. Probably why I have so many cavities now. But I didn't notice that actually. I didn't even think about that.
That's
but now that I am,
kind of forgets about it too. It just drops off.
Well, no, yeah, with the whole gum thing, I didn't realize. Yeah, she was so prominent about like spit out the gum, no gum in my house or stuff like that. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but that was very prominent in a lot of the settings and how she was so focused on it. And it kind of gave an uneasy feeling too, especially with the police officer was like, oh, is that how she's gonna end up like killing him because of the gum because he wasn't gonna spit it out?
You gotta
like,
be big and bold to tell me what I can and can't chew on in my mouth. Have me spitting out some gum because I walk into your house.
Gross. Is this a conversation you've had with somebody or something? You just got
no.
a flashback?
Has somebody demanded you not chew gum around them? There's like an actual like a not a mental, like an audio like issue that people have where they can't handle the sound. Yeah, the sound of somebody chewing. They're like they physically hate people when they chew around them, and I'm like,
it bothers me if people are like eating loud. Like that is what gets me. Like, for example, in the chicken scene, when they're chewing that chicken, it's like all these close-ups you hear.
That bothered me. Because I don't want to see anybody chewing chicken.
So that was gross. And John Waters, the only other movie of his I've seen is Hairspray. And I know this is his like style. His style is very weird, eccentric. And he has those scenes and those moments and shots that are like almost gross or grotesque, like the chicken scene or the scene when you just see like the dentist office and they just have a close up on the dude's mouth in the film.
That didn't bother me.
That bothered me.
Like that didn't bother me at all.
That bothered me very much.
Although what did bother me, I was like, you're a terrible dentist. You ain't give him no anesthetics or nothing. You ain't knock him out. You ain't numb his mouth. You just going straight for it.
I mean, sometimes people don't want that stuff at the dentist.
I feel like he in particular probably needs it. Whether he wants it or not, you finna get this mask, big fella.
My mom gets root canals and teeth pulled without any Novocaine. She'll just go for it because she doesn't like how Novocaine makes her feel afterwards. And I'm like, that's terrifying. And I'm a little upset because I've had multiple root canals and nobody has ever offered me the laughy gas. They've only given me Novocaine or nothing, and I'm just like, come on, I wouldn't mind getting gas. I probably wouldn't because I don't like that thought. But still,
I've
it's
only
nice
been
to be
gassed
offered.
once, and that was for them to take all 4 of my wisdom teeth out.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Did like
I've
yeah.
I've always been anytime I've had teeth taken out 3 times. One time I got baby teeth taken out. One time I got 4 adult teeth taken out, and the last time I got my wisdom teeth taken out. And all 3 times I was put under anesthesia.
Why'd you have your
And
baby teeth taken out?
I think because my mouth was like too crowded. That's why I had my adult teeth taken out too, because my mouth was too crowded.
Too many teeth? Your mouth?
What?
You said you
I
had too
guess
many
so.
teeth for
Like,
your mouth.
You're
no,
shark
I
teeth.
had.
You were
You
shark
have
boy.
a shark mouth.
Yeah, you're a shark boy.
That's
I
why you
still
have
have.
such a big smile. You have the
I,
teeth for it.
I still have my shark teeth, the canines. So they didn't take those out,
I
but it was
wanted,
the ones behind
Jonathan,
them.
you said shark teeth. I want so bad to be like shark bait. Hoo ha ha.
I thought shark baby.
Oh, baby shark.
Yeah.
But I will say also one of the things I really enjoyed about this movie too is how gory it is. Like it is for it to be a dark comedy. They do not spare on the blood. Like they're just like, nah, you gonna see all of this. In fact, one dude he gets his liver ripped out, which it would not come out whole like that, and with no tiny hole where you just poked it into his side. Like it wouldn't come out that whole. But still, I was like, that's his you taking livers now, Beverly?
Why wouldn't it come out like if you just? There's no reason for it to tear.
I mean, it's attached to other things, so I feel like it would rip before you just got the whole liver. No, like
I feel like the cords would rip. I don't know how the liver's attached to everything. I know it's like attached, but
And then she was worried when she took it out. She was worried about. She's like, ugh. She's like, ugh, I don't want to touch it. You just stabbed a man, and you don't even just. Oh my!
in my
Get on my
head,
nerves.
as I saw that scene, I was like, my joke was going to be that when the other dude also, I rewinded that scream like 6 times. Because it's like it's just like the Wilhelm scream. It's one of those like pre-recorded screams that are in like other movies.
oh yeah, that they couldn't resist that
Uh-huh.
weird high pitched thing.
It made me laugh so much. And but when he walked in, my joke for him was going to be like, "Oh my god, he's still pissing." Just dead on the floor,
Are you
still peeing the whole time.
I just think the like murders were like kind of weird and how she was like getting away from them. Like, how do you
For
not
real.
direct? She was a messy murderer. How do you not find like direct evidence to this woman?
Exactly.
Like all the things you literally were like touching the body and pulling out the liver. You no fingerprints or anything.
They're terrible cops. Heck,
Also, like
he's
touching,
there.
like she didn't want to touch the liver, but she touched the liver.
That dude is there, right? He's investigating the murder, and then like the girlfriend of the murder victim starts coming on to him, which is a whole other set of issues because like your boyfriend just died and you're already moving on. But anyway, so like the girlfriend of the murder victim is coming on to him, and he's like, "Oh, well, forget the murder. This girl is fine, is fine as hell." Yeah, and it's just like no. Focus on the task at hand. A man literally just died.
Literally just
Seconds
minutes
ago.
ago.
His liver's out and not on ice. So it's not usable if he was a donor.
I mean, he has other organs.
I mean, the major problem is probably that it has a hole in it, but
technically you only have like a couple hours span to get those organs out and like into other people or on ice. So
I'm just saying, yeah,
but all his whole body because they're just standing there chilling. None of his organs are usable now.
it's just Like they're terrible police officers. I do love the garbage men though are the ones that throw me off the most. I'm like, you are supporting a serial killer. They're just like, yeah, I hate Rosemary. Yeah, I hate her too. Sip some of that.
Well, like
They've
I
literally
won't
said
lie,
someone should kill her. They
a
literally
lot of
said
the
that.
people that she killed were kind of like those people you'd find in a grocery store or like the entitlement. So like of course like trash people, even though they make good money, they're gonna get treated like really, below standard because they're like, oh, it's trash. Who cares? Who cares about those people? It's like, no, they probably live in a nicer house than you. Like
Let it be known
Big
though,
City.
Beverly
Nobody.
doesn't. Beverly, you can't say she's a Karen. She only kills white people. White people are who annoys her.
Well, that has nothing to do with being a Karen. She
I'm
just
just
kills
saying.
what's around her. She's in the white suburbs. They're fine
I'm
with
just saying.
subverting the
She didn't
entitlement of
kill.
people.
She didn't kill the black garbage man.
She was about to
Because the
kill
black garbage
Mrs.
man didn't do anything, and neither did like the Jewish black man.
She
They
was
were
about
just
to
chilling in the background.
she was about to kill Mrs. Puff because she didn't recycle. Like
Look, the planet is dying. You know what? Mrs. Puff
that's
could have been
understandable.
used
Yes.
as
I love
Yes,
could have been
everybody should
used to help. Yeah,
everybody should recycle.
Her
PSA,
excuse
please.
is that she doesn't
Compost,
have.
recycle.
Yeah, her excuse is that
But it's
there's
not
not
an
enough
excuse to
space in
kill
my
somebody.
kitchen. But here's my argument to that. I'm like, you know where our recycling bin is? In the garage. So it's just like there's no excuse. You can make time. You can make
Yeah,
it.
and if she's dead, I mean, technically her body can be used as like fertilizer for the ground, and that helps the trees and the grass.
All right, Mufasa, calm down with the circle of life talk.
Circle life. How do you
Look? I just
recycle?
I don't know how much longer you guys want to talk about this movie because I don't really have any.
We can get into our last thoughts because we're almost at time though.
Yeah,
So
I was just
get into
gonna
our
say,
final thoughts.
I think I give this movie definitely a solid A-. I did have fun. It's not an A+. I think for me, like a Fargo and like Cable Guy are A+s for me as far as dark comedies go. But
Cable Man, really?
Cable Guy,
Cable Guy, whatever.
yeah, with Jim Carrey. and
I
Matthew Broderick.
know. I know.
Yeah,
Gonna put
those movies are great. I love them.
Continue with your rating.
But I love I think this movie is fun. It's very animated. In both like the kills and also the characters. Like everyone is a great character actor in this. And they just play up their roles and ham it up really well. I think just for me personally, it loses a few points in that the plot itself kind of loses track of itself near the end a little bit, and it just feels like it's just a movie where it's like fun scenes, great scenes, they're very funny, but it just kind of keeps going until we get back to the court, and then when we get to the courtroom, then it kind of focuses back up, and it's like, all right, let's get back to the story a little bit. But besides that though, I had a great time watching this movie. It's very funny in my opinion. I enjoyed it, and I would recommend it for those who are fans of dark comedy. Especially dark comedy from the 90s.
90s were a weird time, though.
Let it be known, though, you will see a lot of boobs. There's a lot of nudity in this. On behalf of Scotty.
Alex, what is your rating and reasons for this rating? Transitioning from that.
I don't even know it. I would give it a B just because it's not a movie. If you try to put a lot of like logic and depth into these characters, you're not gonna have a fun time. You're trying to think about like all these like little stuff and things. It's not a deep movie. It's a fun movie. It's a stupid movie. But it's like entertaining, and there were just moments where you're like so confused to the situation that's going on, but you're still having fun with it. And I think the actress, what was her name?
Kathleen Turner.
Kathleen Turner, thank you. Kathleen Turner does a great job because she straight up has a psycho serial killer vibe to her, and yet she's still always smiling and very put together and all this stuff. The other characters were kind of like loose and like whatnot, but she maintains this character, I feel, really well. And like I said, again, don't try to put too much like thought into the film. It is a 90s film, and it is a black comedy and it's nonsense. And if you watch it, just enjoy it. And just, I know with a lot of movies nowadays, they always have a lesson attached to it. If you need one, she loves her kids.
The
In
lesson
the
here
end,
is,
she
if
loves
your
her
mom's a
children,
serial
and that's the
killer,
most important thing.
exactly. If your mom's a serial killer, just support her. So
You
that
don't
you
have
can
to
live
you
to
don't
see
have to
another day.
approve of what she did, but just sit behind her, in court.
Exactly.
But so yeah, like a D. And I'm also like wondering, why did you
Did you
pick
say
this
a D? I thought
movie?
you said a B.
A B, sorry. I was gonna say, why, Jonathan, did you pick this particular movie again? Because this does not seem like your style of movie either.
Okay, again, disclaimer. I don't know if you were gone when I said this part, but so I had only ever seen this version, or I had only ever seen this movie in its TV
Right,
version.
right. No, I was here for that, but like even going off the TV version, because I feel like it's different, but it's still the same plot of her just the murders and stuff, and like her, like that's what I'm like. I didn't think this style of movie honestly was your style.
I enjoyed it a lot when I first watched it because I don't know, it was just one of those things where you're scrolling through the TV for something to watch when you're bored on a Saturday afternoon, and then you come across that movie, and you're like, what is this? Oh, she's cute. Oh,
No,
and she's doing
okay,
all
I
of
get it
these
now.
nonsensical things, and then you see that it's going to be on a second time like a couple years later, and then you're like, yeah, I need to watch this. And so like 10 or so years after that, I'm like, I want to come back to this enjoyment that I felt. And I guess I could bring me to my rating, which I will also give this an A minus. I really enjoyed Kathleen Turner's performance. I thought she did an excellent job with that duality of the perfect mom and housewife, plus also violent murder who killed people for wearing white after Labor Day. And it was cool to get to see a young Matthew Lillard before the Scooby-Doo days, and a young Ricky Lake after the hairspray craze. And yeah, it was just, and Mrs. Puff, obviously. So the cast, that's one of the things that stood out to me as well, getting to see all these people who I've like grown up watching. And overall, I feel like it's just such like an odd movie because of how weird it is and how just like nonsensical everything is, which is probably why I give it an A minus, which is why it gets the minus, because like there's a point where I feel like things get a little too unexplainable and too weird and like too grotesque, and that's maybe like
She
a
kills
little bit
somebody with
over.
lamb.
Yes, and
But
that's that.
here's the detail I forgot to leave out. In Lamb to the Slaughter, the short story, the lamb is frozen. So it's like a brick of ice, which makes sense why she can bludgeon someone to death. In the movie, it's fully cooked, so it
It's
should be
cooked.
soft. There's no way you're just gonna murder
The
her
bone.
that easily. You
I
will murder
highly
her, but
doubt.
it'll take
So,
time.
okay, no. But though, lamb is actually a little bit difficult to cook, and if you overcook it, it actually becomes really tough and hard. And then they didn't remove the bone either, so the bone with tough meat, I could see it like causing damage. Maybe not killing, but causing pretty good damage when you hit meat with it. Nobody wants to get hit with meat. At least I hope nobody wants to get hit with meat. There are there are people out there, to each their own. But still, go on, Jonathan.
But that's pretty much it. The grotesqueness of it, and the shock factor is a little bit over my line, although I still enjoyed everything that the movie gave me. And I understand that that's John Waters' style, so I have no choice but to live with it and watch it and enjoy it. So overall, I enjoyed watching it again after a while, and I am happy I got to watch it again.
It was a nice flashback, back to the 90s. A simpler time.
Simpler
Wonder
time.
what the next movie is gonna be for the next trivia episode.
Yes, you better start thinking.
Well, don't start thinking. Start getting your trivia. Get into the trivia gym and get ready. Because when you have next round, I plan on taking the belt back. I don't know how, but I'm gonna do it.
You were cocky once before, and see what happened.
Nah, but see, that's the thing about trash talk. You don't stop talking trash. You keep talking trash until you lose. And even then, after you lose, you still keep talking trash until you eventually win.
You don't stop talking trash until you become the trash.
Nah, you never become trash.
Damn, you kind of become the trash when you lose. Damn.
Only if you lose enough times. At that point, then you just start shanking up the competition.
Oh no! Let's not bring that back.
Reference shank up. This is now the
shake
third
up, which is by the way not a proper phrase. I feel like, right? That's not how you say stuff.
Listen,
right?
I want my own shirt. All right, y'all got y'all's. Okay, you got.
I'm not a part of this brand. Shank up. This is a Jerome original.
All right, mine is don't get shanked up.
Wait, what is Alex's again?
New Year, dead me. That's Alex.
Oh yeah, that's right.
God.
Mine is at me.
Shanked up in this hotel.
Yeah. Wait,
that's all I'm saying.
What is Jonathan's?
At me. Over and over and over again on the shirt. It's just a list of at me, at me, at me.
Actually, Jerome, listening to our podcast, yours is a lot of Alex, no. When I tend to say something that sounds a little more incriminating, and then it's usually followed by Jonathan going, for legal reasons. Or that kind of sounds like you did commit murder once, which was an actual statement from one of our podcasts. And I had to make a disclaimer that no, I have not murdered anybody.
That we know of.
Right.
Well, all right.
I used to sleepwalk. There might have something occurred. I don't know. Never know. Anyway.
Well, all right. That's our episode. We hope you enjoyed this review of Serial Mom. We hope you, if you haven't already, can get a chance to watch the movie so you know what we're talking about.
Free on Peacock. So
free on Peacock.
Yeah, Peacock.
Yes, with commercials. It's free with commercials, but if you get the 7-day trial, then you don't have to do the commercials. Anyway, just go over to Peacock and watch it if you want. Yes, enjoy. Well, all right. We're gonna wrap up here. Jerome, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me at Not Jerome Rhett on Instagram and also at RoboZoom Media on Instagram to find out all the other things I'm doing outside of this jam. So yeah.
Alex, where can people find you at?
I'm mainly on Instagram at Alex and Nobody, and then I handle the podcast's TikTok account, which is the first ones to die, where I make random little videos and then show clips of little comments we have had.
Nice. And you can find me at Jonathan Keys. You can follow us at the First Ones to Die anywhere you please. You can also email us thefirstones2die@gmail.com. Please give us a like, a subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're listening to us through a podcast app, feel free to give us a follow. And we will see you all next time on the next episode of The First Ones to Die.
Later.
Bye.
Peace.